From the shores of Malibu where the waves are pumping, to the Great Wall of China and back to the streets of Las Vegas where the UFC is happening. We are live. This is It's Time Radio, the show where we talk about what you think about but may be afraid to voice. Do not worry, we'll voice it for you. We talk about everything: politics, film, TV, UFC, sex, drugs, rock and roll. This is No Holds Barred Radio, folks. And I'm here with my co-host, TJ DeSantis, my producer. TJ, how are you? I'm going to cut it short because we got somebody on the show I've always loved to be around, talk to, party with, announce, you name it. The man is all around one of the greatest guys I've ever met in my life.
An icon.
The icon, the icon, the icon, the Iceman, the former UFC champion, and we all love him, Chuck Liddell. Chuck, how are you?
I'm great, Bruce. Thanks. Thanks for the intro.
Always good to see you, my friend. Always. You know, Chuck, lots of things going on in the UFC. That's great. We're going to touch on that. Lots of things going on in your life, which I really want to hear more about. But it was great to see you Saturday night. That show was electric. It was pretty awesome. Did you have a great time? Did you think it was a solid show?
Oh, a great show. Great fights all night. I mean, obviously the most disappointing part, not getting around to the Conor Dustin fight. I mean, I think that could have been interesting, really.
Yeah, I think so too. And I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, we all saw the video that's been posted where he threw the front kick, or Muay Thai, a teep kick, however you want to call it. And then Poirier seemed to come down in a check, but it's like he hit it with the elbow. I mean, these get broken with the bones. Do you think that's where it shattered, that it shattered there, and then when it came back, it just did the number?
Yeah, I mean, just planning and having it snap like that, I don't think that's a possibility, really. I mean,
yeah.
These guys, I think it's a freak accident. It's one of those things. And I thought actually in the first round, I thought, Conor was winning the striking. I think he hurt his leg. It looked to me like he hurt his leg at one point. Had Poirier a little hurt on his the leg kicks, which he did like a plant and like kind of gave out for a second, which for me, that as a kickboxer, that's a precursor to me going, okay, now I'm just going to eat his leg up. His leg's already hurting a little bit. I'm going to eat it up. But, then obviously Conor went for that guillotine. As a coach, like I used to tell my guys, hey, my strikers, like if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, it's a different story.
Right.
I tell my wrestlers and my strikers, if you drop to a guillotine from a standing position, you better finish it. Because if you need to come back to this corner, don't. Because I'm going to hit you with the chair.
You bring a great point up, Chuck, because if it was the other way around, if it's Dustin going for that guillotine, even if he doesn't get it, he's much more in his world than Conor is.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guys did to him all the time. I was being funny, but yeah, I was serious. I'm going to want to hit you with a chair when you come over. What are you doing? It's like, what are you doing trying to, it's not your, if you get to a position where you're already sitting there and it's there, you can go for something. But
right
now, don't get me wrong, you're good, great jiu-jitsu. A guy like Glover Teixeira, drop your guillotine anytime you want.
Yep.
Or Jake Shields, another guy trained with me. Hey, drop your guillotine anytime you want. You tell me when you want to drop to it. But a striker, no, don't do that.
I mean, that goes back to simple fight IQ.
Right, and then it went, and then. I thought Poirier was pouring it on, but he didn't do a lot of damage, I don't think, from the top. And he's got a little bit in there. I don't think he did a lot. So I was interested to see how he'd go in the second round. I mean, I was real excited. I was actually really excited about that. Oh, okay, we're going to get he's up. We're going to go to the second round. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what the hell happened?
I'm with you all the way. I mean, you were sitting behind me and I was still at my desk getting ready for the second round when Heidi, one of the UFC people, is yelling at me, no, it's over, because where I was at, I didn't have the viewpoint to see the leg get hurt. But I was looking so much forward to that second round because after both fighters went back to their corners and with coaches like you, giving them instructions, the second round would have been phenomenal. I thought it was going to be awesome, but we didn't see it. Yeah, let me ask you a question, Chuck. You're in the UFC like me. We've been around forever in this game, and we've seen it all. We've seen the evolutionary process. We've seen the trash talk from fighters from 20 years ago to fighters from today. How are your feelings on trash talk, such as Conor, who was so much the gentleman and the sportsman in the last Poirier fight in Abu Dhabi, which really made me happy because that's the way I like to see Conor. I like respect. We're martial artists. It's about blood and honor and respect. How do you feel about trash talk when people are talking about using words like murder and kill or bringing up somebody's wife and making
You know,
comments that can be made?
I really think today, like with people cross the line way too many times. It's too much. You know, I mean, there's an unwritten rule. You know, for me as a fighter, there's certain things it's okay. You know, like you want to talk all the trash you want about me, my camp, stuff between us, whatever, all that stuff. But you know, leave my friends and family out of it. You know, it's like one of those things. I'm just like, and you know, murder and kill. I mean, come on, man. No, I'll say, hey, I'm trying to kill you, but during a fight, I am trying to kill you. But
Right.
I'm hoping you're okay right afterwards too. And you know, I know you got to build a fight, and Conor does. He's honestly done it better than anyone. He gets those outside the box fans. He gets the people are just watching it because not only gets the occasional fan, not only gets the the sometimes fan, like the guy that just every once in a while does it, but also gets people that don't ever watch fights and they just want to see the show.
Yeah.
You know, so he's a guy that's, and those are the guys that make the big money. That make more of spread the sport more. But on the other side, flip side of that, for me, that's a lot of that stuff is just, you know, I'm old school. You know, you start talking about my wife and I mean, all right, man, I'll see you in the back room.
Yeah,
Wait till we get back.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna jump over the cage and start a big riot in place. But when we get backstage, you better hide.
Yeah.
I'll come right over there. He just locked me in a room. I don't want anyone. And the big reason being, I don't want anybody breaking it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
anybody, I just got to say, TJ, I know Chuck so well, and I know he's absolutely correct.
Right.
And I also know that he would do exactly that.
Well, that's the thing, too, is when you say things like that, not only are you inciting more beef with that person outside of the octagon, but like you're talking about inciting the people that are close to Dustin to do something as well. Like you're not just attacking, you know, Dustin and his family, like you're attacking his entire team that want to stick up for their boy, too. And that's not a very good thing. You don't need to be stoking those embers. Be professional.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things. Be professional, and you know, at some points it's just talk, but it's like, you know, it's unnecessary.
Right.
It's unnecessary. Usually, I'm sorry, Chuck. Then usually after a fight, even in the worst case scenarios with Conor, it's been a hug and a respect afterwards, which is not the case here with Poirier.
Yeah, I think about it. I just wonder if he was just all of a sudden going, man, I didn't get my real shot at this. He thought that if I lost here, it's my last fight. You know, wait, I didn't get a full shot at this because my legs are broke. Is this a panic? Like, okay, I got to set up the next fight. I got to piss him off, make sure I get that next fight.
Maybe
Poirier doesn't, right? I mean, Poirier doesn't have to give it to him, really.
Right. I think
I can see him. I mean, I could see him on it. I mean, but then again, you know, that's a long way back from an injury like that. That's not usually guys are never the same after that.
Yeah, no, never the same after. I'm sorry, TJ, never the same after that. And also at the same time, we're talking about an injury that could take, I would say, at least a year to be able to come back from.
Well, like even Anderson Silva came back, and I mean, he's still tough, but he was talking about how tentative he was to throw that leg afterwards. I didn't want to.
Oh yeah.
When I talked to him on my podcast, you know, Icebreakers. Yeah, it was just, you know, it's a tough thing to come back from. That's rough.
Mentally and physically.
Did you guys see the photo? I saw it yesterday. It was a photo of Weidman, Conor, Anderson Silva, and John Jones all standing around talking to one another. And then they had the x-rays and the actual photos of the leg breaks. And they were saying, does anyone see a trend here? John Jones has the skinniest of all of these guys' legs. Anyone concerned for him? What is it, Chuck, about these freak injuries that are, you know, seemingly happening more and more in the modern era of MMA?
You know, I'm not sure. I've seen, leg checks and leg stuff for so long in fighting. I mean, I've been in kickboxing. I've been a kickboxing fan for a long time. So I've been martial arts since I was 12. So,
is it the technique getting better? Is it just people are checking?
I mean, these guys. Well, no, that same check, the one Weidman did, I actually was talking to his striking coach Ray Longo after the fight, the first fight they had.
Yeah,
trained for it.
Man, his legs were. He said Weidman's leg was really hurt after that. I don't know if we would have made. I mean, able to answer the next bell if he didn't knock him out. And I'm like, well, I like to check where I just turn my foot and let him kick right here. I turn my foot and I throw right hand. So I make him eat a right hand and chip off and sometimes I actually said, sometimes I catch people's foot. I think in my second Tito fight, Tito and I checked it. He caught his foot on the front of that.
Yep.
Like, okay, that hurt. You can see him. I'm not gonna kick that again.
You talk about your long kickboxing career. It goes back. I remember when I was heavily into kickboxing back around 1990 and stuff. There was a great champion, Dennis Alexio. Remember Dennis?
Oh, I remember Dennis. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I trained with him a couple times. And remember when the Australian guy checked his kick, or he checked his kick, and his ankle just went like that. It was.
Oh yeah, that was that one. The one I'd seen before. The two I've seen two on film, and I saw that one before the Anderson Silva one.
And also, if you go back just over the last 8 shows, I think we've had a bone break at least in the last 6 consecutive shows. I never want to see fighters get hurt. I'm not about that. But there have been a lot of broken bones lately.
Well, this is what I might think, guys. Think about the sample size and how many fights there are. A lot of people, talking about eye pokes, they sort of credit Pride gloves to not having a lot of eye pokes in Pride fighting championships. But then they fail to realize that the UFC puts on more fights in one calendar year than Pride did in a decade.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes we might see these streaks of, oddities.
It's not even more fights. There's actually more fights each night too.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It used to be 10 tops.
Right.
Now there's 12, sometimes more, because they have the small show and the middle show.
I remember when there were 4 or 5 UFCs a year with only 8 fights on each card. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I remember when there was 3. And the months in between each show went so slow for me because all I was looking forward to was that next fight. And now we're doing 42 a year.
Right.
And I'm doing 3 a month or whatever. Yeah. It's just nonstop. Let's go back to the injury real quick. The result of the injury on Conor McGregor was the fractures of his tibia and his fibula, right? Which obviously didn't happen when he stepped back. It obviously came from the kick or the check, as we're discussing. The doctor that operated on him is, and you might know him too, Chuck. Hopefully you've never had to be operated on him. I have. He repaired my ACL, severed in my knee. Dr. Neil Elitrosh. He's the doctor to the stars. He did GSPs.
I've heard his name. Yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic. Hopefully you never have to see him. I've had enough experience with him, but he's great with that. He did GSP's knee. He did my knee. And that the powers that be UFC were on the phone with him right then, and he was flown right into Vegas and a 3-hour operation. I think it's a big question. Conor's sitting in a very, very comfortable position. If his brand stays strong, which it will over the next year plus of the healing process to service all his businesses out there, when you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, there comes that point is, do you really want to get in there and do everything and make it happen again? I think personally his pride factor is going to make him want to do it. But I think there's a big question if we're going to see him back personally.
Oh yeah, I think for sure. And the only thing that would make me excited if he came back was that's a real decision for someone that doesn't have to do it. It's not like, oh man, I got to make some money. Right. Unless he does something crazy, I don't think there's any way he's going to blow all his money. So, so him not having to come back and not having a financial reason to come back. If he does come back, I'll be excited.
I'll be excited to see it also.
And see what he can do and see how he can recover from it.
No question. I'll share something with you guys. When I introduce him, I always say, I have said the pride of Ireland.
Mm.
For some reason after the show, I got emails and people from Ireland saying, please don't say the pride of Ireland. He's not representative of Ireland. So it just goes to show me, because when I talk to Irish people, Conor with his antics and the law situations and everything, the punching of the older gentleman in the bar and all that, he does have a 50-50 division, I feel, and people that want to see him win and don't want to see him win, but everybody will buy the pay-per-view.
Is it that, Bruce?
Most popular fighter.
Is it that, Bruce, or is it a case of when you're hot, and when you're not, you're not? Because I feel like I just feel like a lot of people are maybe kind of, pardon the phrase here, but shitting on him a little bit because he hasn't been winning.
Big question.
It's one of those things when you're that brash and you're that, confrontational in the way you promote fights. It tends to be, you're only good as your last fight.
Right.
And there's a lot of times that, if that's especially, and it's that way with a lot of fighters, but especially when you're that real aggressive, go after someone, person, your personality, where you're real, you go out and talk about people's wives and all that stuff, you're definitely gonna if you're not winning, if you lose, you definitely get some hate.
It's just odd, guys, because how many times have we seen people shake hands after they fight in fierce rivalry? I mean, Chuck is shaking Tito's hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
there you go.
Well, look, man,
Yep.
I mean, I still to this day, we're not friends,
right.
but I don't hate him. I mean, I hope he has a wonderful life. I hear he's a great dad. I mean, all that stuff's great, man. I more power to you. I don't want to do business with you, but I hope you succeed at life. I mean, have fun. Well, good luck.
To me, it's still the greatest rivalry in MMA history. The Iceman versus Tito with his flames on his trunks. Like, you sign me up. That's the best rivalry in the sport.
Well, I'll tell you,
before I forget and I get in real trouble, my first Nft drop coming up next week. So,
ooh, what is it?
The 24th. I think it's the 24th. We're gonna drop my first official NFT. So
that's awesome.
Cool.
That's awesome, Chuck. Can you tell us what it is or what it looks like? Or are you keeping it a surprise?
We'll wait for that. But yeah, it'll come out it'll have some unlockable content too. So it'll be pretty cool.
Who's
That's
releasing
awesome.
it? Is it Eternity releasing it or who's releasing it?
Blockchain Labs.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now these NFTs are just taking over. Good, Chuck. I wish you all the best success with that. I can't wait to see that. We're on the subject of things outside of the fighting world. I just have one more question about UFC 264, and I want to go into other things involved in your after fight career, which is going great. When you watched the O'Malley Matino fight, right? The fight, the first fight on the pay-per-view. Now, you've been in many fights where you've just been dominating, and you're knocking the guy out. It doesn't go that long with punches the way it did with him. Did it bother you to see Matino taking so much damage? And did you have an issue with the stoppage 26 seconds or so before the end of the third round?
Usually I'd be the guy that was there going, "Hey, you got to stop this. You know that you shouldn't. You should let him fight. He's a fighter. He's gotten to here." I was actually like, I wish his corner had done that earlier.
Right.
I mean, he was just being too tough for his own damn good, and I get it. I mean, I'm the same way. I think he was just too tough for his own damn good. I mean, those are like, I don't know how many unanswered punches he took to the head, and O'Malley hits hard, man.
Yeah.
He's still standing.
Moving forward too. I think that was the problem. Like, Matino was still moving forward.
His moves still stand. But a lot of really tough guys, when they're out on their feet, they don't know any better but to move forward.
It's muscle memory.
When I fought my last fight in the UFC, against Rich, I don't remember anything after I headbutted him. That shot got headbutted. I don't remember anything, but I remember I went back and looked at it. All I did was come after him, because that's what I'm hurt. I got to go. I got to knock this guy out.
Right. One thing that Chuck said about Matino is, maybe his corner should have stopped it. I think that is definitely something that I would hope corners would start to do a bit more. Obviously, you don't want to take it away from your fighter, but there are times where Chuck said it, like, he's just too tough for his own damn good.
Well, and you know better. You know better than I think than the guy in the middle of the ring.
Right.
You know better.
Aware.
You know your guy, and like I've had guys who are like, man, come on, he can still knock him out. He said, look at him, he's got nothing left.
Right.
Even if he does land that shot,
you're
not gonna. If he was still throwing fire right now, I'd be like, yeah, okay, it's fifth round. You can get beat up for 4.5 rounds. That was my goal, was always to be able to get beat up for 4.5 rounds and still have enough power left in the tank to knock somebody out.
See, it's got to be
hard. Then if you knock him out with a half round left, you knock him out, it's over.
Right.
If you're out there and if you can't even hold your hands up, you're barely throwing punches. I mean, are you really, even if you land that shot, is it going to do anything? And the guy that can make that judgment is your corner guy. They will, I mean, and honestly, for me, like, I can accept that more than would a referee stopping my fight.
Right.
Because you don't know where I'm at. You don't know if I'm still fighting. You don't know what I'm doing.
Right. I just never to live to fight another day.
I mean, looking back, I don't think I would have won the fight anyway. Like, against the first one against Randy, I thought he stopped that too early. And especially after I saw the Tito fight, when I thought he started after Tito and Randy, he let Tito get hit way worse in that position than he let me get it. Because I was wall walking with my feet. That's intelligently defending yourself, in my opinion. But when I won the fight, no. Not unless the judges are blind, but then again, we never know.
Yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say it's
I
gotta be.
think I was ahead on one of the judges' cards when I lost that fight. I think someone told me. I was like, really?
I was just gonna say it's gotta be. You talk about like throwing in the towel. It had to be hard if Hackelman could ever be in that situation, because Chuck always had that power. Like maybe there's only 25 seconds left and he's lost everything 10-8. Chuck Liddell still got that right hand. He might knock you into next week.
But you can also tell if someone that doesn't have anything left, or
for sure.
Are they in a position they're never going to get out of? Or,
Hey, I'm looking around that room, Chuck. What is that poster over your left shoulder there? What's that on the wall?
Oh, that's me and Vitor Belfort. That was
okay.
I was at the Bellagio actually back in the day.
Wasn't that the show that was on the Fox Sports Network?
Best damn sports show.
Best
damn sports. But they were going to have one fight on. And actually, one of the reasons I took a last minute fight because it was 37.5, right?
Right. Yeah.
I took the last minute fight. One, it was Vitor. I wanted to fight him anyway. And
Let me tell you what.
I took a short notice. I wanted to fight Vitor anyway because he's a great fighter, but I took a shorter notice fight because they said there's a chance we were going to get on Best Damn Sports Show, and that was one of the sales points to me getting on that show. And then I found out that that there was never any chance of us putting the main event on there. I was like,
but it did make Fox. I'll tell you what that story was, Chuck, is that I was on the Best Damn Sports Show with your favorite nemesis, Tito Ortiz, who I got on the show at one point, and we were in the green room. And George Greenberg, the producer of Best Damn Sports Show, who wound up being the head of the Fox UFC collaboration for many, many years. When we were back in the green room, George said, well, how, when you come to LA or whatever, let us know when and let us, show the UFC, right?
Yeah. George is a great guy, by the way.
When the UFC came to LA, because that wasn't even a possibility back then.
It wasn't even a possibility. And I said to George, George, why don't you and Fox Sports be the first ones to ever show the UFC on national network TV on Fox? And he said, well, how can we do that? I said, I'll set up a call, which I did with Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitta, and myself and George, and we all had a group call. I started the call, and then I got off, let them do their thing. Out of that call was created 37.5. And the reason you got the short call, Chuck, because that call was about 6 weeks or 4 weeks before the show. They put that show together real quick at the Bellagio because it was during Sweeps Week. And then they would have been on Fox during Sweeps Week, which they were.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. And they showed your fight. They got great ratings, the whole 9 yards. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was partially responsible for the first time the UFC was ever shown on national network TV, which was that event. So you can blame me a little bit if you had a short training camp, but you know what? You came out on top, and it's all okay.
I'm okay with that. It turned out great.
That was a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight with Vitor.
Hell of a fight. And there were a couple other great fights that night too. It was just really awesome. Chuck, one more question.
The funniest part about that fight for me was I'm thinking, I go to Vitor, I get a set. I'm just going to get comfortable and start straight. I'm a kickbox the hell out of this guy, he's a boxer. And the first thing he did was shoot in and take me down. I'm like, I just got taken down by a boxer. Yeah. And I like to box, and he's not even a wrestler. I was like, damn it. Like, did he really think I had no thought in my mind that he'd ever take a shot. And he took a shot to me down. I was like, oh,
on that tip, Mike Goldberg coined a phrase for you, Chuck, that doesn't get used a lot today because, stylistically, everyone's a little bit more mixed than they were back then. But wrestling in reverse, that is everything that I hear when I think about Chuck Liddell, because that's what Chuck's a good wrestler, but he used it in reverse so he could stay on his feet and knock people out with that overhand right. And you were an innovator in a lot of ways, Chuck, and it's pretty cool to see where you've come out and this icon status in MMA. And Bruce, you talk about that 37.5. It's overlooked a lot when it comes to say the boom of the Ultimate Fighter, which Chuck was obviously very much involved with, but that was definitely a seminal moment in the evolution of mixed martial arts in this country.
a seminal moment. And at the same time, I want to point out the fact, something that I trained a lot at to do as best I could, is to be able to punch going backwards. Very few fighters can punch with the power that Chuck Liddell does moving backwards.
Yep.
I've seen you break the orbital bone. I forget the fighter. We were at a show that
Vernon White.
Yep.
Yes, Vernon White.
Man, that kid was tough, man.
Oh man,
I
very
was
tough.
giving people, man, that was a great fight. I'm like, well, he took a beating. Like
Yeah.
I was hitting him hard and just wouldn't go down. And finally, I was backing up, like, bang.
How?
Look at you. See that? You see how he just does that? Like he still got it. He
still got it.
He can't even feint without power.
Hey, the way the world is going today, Chuck, are we going to see one of these exhibition fights with Chuck Liddell? Is anybody coming at you, Chuck? Because I guarantee it's got to be. You're probably getting a phone call.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm like, and I've joked around, but people get all offended. I'm like, look, man, any of these YouTube guys really want to get knocked out? I mean, if they want to pay me a couple $1 million to knock them out, I'd be more than happy to do it.
Right.
But like, it is what it is. I mean, they're not stupid. They're not going to give me a shot at them. But I think it's entertaining. It's entertaining in a different way. Like I don't, if I think boxing really should look at it as, because like a couple of cards have had real boxing fights on that night.
Right.
Right. And if you use it as a way to get, these fans are only watching it because they're YouTube guys or whatever. They're only watching it for something else. They're not really fight fans.
No.
If you can get some of those fans back to boxing by the good fights on the card, that's what that would be a good end game for them. It could help them out. But it is kind of how marketing is going nowadays with these stuff. I mean, a lot of this YouTube, I don't get it very much, but it's a lot of what people want to see. Like I've never mind. I like the tough man contest. I don't mind having guys go at it, but I kind of I don't like ones where it's like I kind of like where it's just an exhibition where they're not really trying to hurt each other.
Right, just getting in work.
I'm trying to just they're just going out and having like hard sparring.
Yeah.
Now watching Tyson get out there and hard spar with anybody, I'll watch it because just for nostalgia's sake, and man, it's Tyson. I'll watch him a hard spar with anybody. He can still move around and still looks good.
I'll watch Tyson play cribbage.
Right, exactly. I did that. I refereed the celebrity boxing thing, and that was funny. But it is. But if you order that and expect good boxing,
right?
I think you got to check your head.
Right. It's a spectacle. It's
but the thing I like about it was big gloves. They had big gloves and headgear on, and they were actually going at. They were really trying to knock each other out. So that makes it interesting. That's it's fun and it's kind of funny. But I mean, people see guys get hit. I think that fight, the one I did, celebrity boxing thing, I did this fight before the main event. The guy actually punched the referee. And the bet coming after they got the second round started, he comes over. All right, are you ready? Are you ready? Hey, don't punch me. I was like, okay, best line by a referee ever. I was like, that's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm with you, Chuck. You've made a very salient point, which we've discussed on the show. It's bringing on boxing fans are falling off. Okay, they're getting older and falling off as a rule. If we can bring in the young demographic and they get caught up in it, that they'll watch a great boxing match, whether it's with Canelo or some of the other fine boxers that are out there, all the more power to them, because I love the sport of boxing as you do. But I would say it's a very small percentage that will continue to watch outside the realm of that exhibition fight.
Right. Oh, I think so too. But it was why don't they do that with MMA? Well, boxing's a little easier to learn than MMA. It's like
right.
There's too many elements for guys to learn and perfect for that kind of fighting. So just moving from boxing, you gotta learn how to punch each other, and really worst case scenario, you just throw haymakers and throw haymakers at each other and that, whatever. But if you're not, you don't know what you're doing in MMA, you're toast.
I hear you. I'm with you. And now with boxing, Tyson Fury got canceled.
Yeah.
Tyson getting COVID, which is still an issue out there. So all the best of the boxing world. I love boxing. I like to see it do well. And to me, again, mixed martial arts and boxing are apples and oranges, two totally different fighting sports. I do not compare the two. I just enjoy both of them, for what they bring.
Exactly. Same. That's what I try to explain. I try to explain it to people all the time, but yeah.
I think we're more over it than ever than justifying one sport over the other. They're cousins. They're both great in their own right. I mean, I remember back in the day, mixed martial arts was sort of forced to defend itself against boxing. But I mean, it's 2021. I hope anybody holding on to that narrative can just put it to rest.
Exactly. Chuck, one last question, because I want to go into a couple of things here in your personal business ventures that you're into. You saw Adesanya go against Blachowicz in the light heavyweight from middleweight. And we've got John Jones potentially moving to heavyweight from he better, because he's put on all this weight, from light heavyweight. How do you feel about that? Did you ever consider fighting as a heavyweight, number one? And second, does size matter at this point?
Well, all things being equal, bigger, stronger, faster should win, right?
Right.
But that's all things being equal. There's never everything equal in fighting. All right. I actually asked Dan to fight Tim Sylvia before he had Randy fight him. It was actually pretty funny when they fought the first time. In the first round, Randy came out and hit him with an overhand. He dropped him.
Yep.
Didn't finish him. I looked over at Dana and went. Dana said, "Tim Sylvia's too big for you. I don't want you to do that." Like, when that happened, and Dana went.
Yep.
Just kind of shook his head. Okay.
Randy was an 8-1 underdog in that fight.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah,
one of the greatest bets I ever saw.
I'm like.
Hey,
if I hit him with that overhand, it's over.
Hey, Chuck, what would you have weighed if you fought at heavyweight? What do you think you would have come in the octagon at?
I mean, honestly, I tried, because I kickboxed a couple times at heavyweight, and I just got to let my weight get up one time. And I'm like, never again. I'll fight about I would have walked in the ring about 217, 220 maybe.
Okay.
So you basically fight it with Mike.
I was about 5 pounds over where I normally walk in the ring at.
You're right.
I wouldn't get much heavier than that because it just, I moved. It's harder to move them. I mean, if I had time to get there, I mean, I would have been going up and going back down. If I had time to get there, maybe I would have slowly creeped up a little higher than that. But it over time, maybe. But I would have. That's where I would have fought at.
I firmly believe
the funny thing is, Fedor. Look at Fedor. Fedor wasn't bigger than me. I mean, Fedor, honestly, Fedor wanted to, in a little bit of time, probably could have got down to 205 if he wanted to.
Yeah, no 100%.
He was one of the best heavyweights of his era.
I mean, he always had dad bod. You know what I mean? Like he always like.
I mean, he's walking. I think he's weighing in it like with his shoes on or whatever at like 230.
Yep.
Or 230, 235 maybe. I mean, I think the time I saw him weighing, he was in between 230 and 235. So I mean, I don't think it would have been hard for him to make 205. I mean, it wouldn't have been an easy cut. I don't dive down.
Well, prior to the bigger heavyweights, the Lesners and Carwins of the world, like the best heavyweights were never really much bigger than 235, 240.
Well, in boxing, the best heavyweights were 195 to 215. In the old days, I mean, Tyson wasn't that heavy.
Yeah.
Tyson would come in around 215, 220.
What did Randy ever weigh at heavyweight? I mean, that was his problem with the bigger guys like Rico. Like, I don't think Randy weighed much more than 230 ever.
No.
Yeah,
no. Always right there. All right, Chuck, we got the fighting down. Now, listen, you're releasing your NFT. Congratulations on that, by the way. A lot of money being made by people in NFTs. Mine's coming out in the next few months myself. So I can't wait to see that. I think it's very, very cool. No question.
Thank you.
The thing is, you got your Icebreaker podcast, which you started, I think, just a couple months ago, right? Isn't that brand new?
Yeah, a few months ago. Yeah, we've been going for a few months.
How's it going? It looks like it's going really well.
It's going really good. We might take a little break for, I think, my co-host is going to be shooting a film and for a while, so it might be a little hard to schedule, get him on there. So I think that we're talking about doing a break, but we'll see.
Well, you did mention to me that, we'll come on and we'll maybe give a few inside thoughts on that brawl for it all outside China White in London that we were all involved in, you especially.
Oh, man, I want to hear that story.
We're not going to give anything away on the show. I'm going to save that for the Icebreaker.
There's video of that allegedly.
Yeah, everyone said allegedly there is. I'd love to see it.
I would love to see it.
I know who has it. I'm not going to say on here. I'll tell you guys off here.
Can you get it?
See, because I really don't never. Well, we're gonna live. I don't know how it started. Like I do, but I've heard from how it started from everyone's side, but I wasn't there, so I don't really talk. I forgot that I was going to ask you how it started. Actually, my other friend there was in the fight. It was there when it started. It was little Damien, buddy Damien, and he I never all this time I've never asked him how it started. I never really actually had that conversation with him because we always talk about what happened after that. But anyway, we'll talk later.
I know how it started. We were all walking out. I'm not giving anything away. All I know is I'm going to say one thing. There was Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell and us walking out. When a street fight breaks out, Tito went that way. Chuck went that way. I follow Chuck. And I was watching Chuck's back. The choice between, I've always said, Chuck, this is a common statement I've made for many years. The two guys I would want on either side of me in a street fight is you and Boss Rudin over on my right. I'd be a very happy.
Boss, a bad man.
Bad man. So Chuck, you got the Icebreaker podcast. You got your NFTs coming out, your appearances, everything you're doing. Your film career, I'm very impressed. I mean, you're working hard on it, and I was going through, and I know I've seen I've commented on you on a couple of the movies I watched recently, and you're getting better and better, like in The Silencer. I loved your role in The Silencer and all that. When I was researching your career, you were in The Postman Always Rings Twice in 1981 as a Boy Scout?
Yeah, when I was a kid, actually, if you watch it, the funny thing, a girl, my Jim posted that one time, and everybody, people were like, comment, hey man, I know, I watched the whole thing, wasn't in it. Like, she's like, he was 11. He didn't have a mohawk. He didn't have a goatee. The guy, he was kicked out from behind the counter by Jack Nicholson. So, and then that was kind of like Mcgregor. And I got $33 for it, but that was my first ever film role.
But did you want to be an actor, or your parents just?
No, I was in a Boy Scout troop, and we were playing Boy Scouts. And I came by the Boy Scout troop, and it was actually the first time I went to the Boy Scout troop, and they came and recruited us to go do that thing, and it was really cool.
Chuck and I've done so many things. Chuck and I've done so many things together, TJ, over the years, in and out of UFC. We actually did Entourage together.
I was just going to say, I'll never forget the Entourage episode. Like, that was a huge deal. That was the biggest show on television pretty much at the time.
That was a huge deal, but I remember looking at Chuck because I'm so used to Entourage with every beautiful girl you can think of, thinking the set's going to have 50 of them more, walking around. And we were the only Entourage where everybody on the set was a kid. Remember that, Chuck?
Oh, yeah.
Our one favorite moment. But, so Chuck, what's going on in the film career now? You had.
Well, I'm waiting on, starting back up, getting stuff going now that people are starting back up shooting things. Since I had a couple. I had one. I was going to be the main guy for. I was going to play a Secret Service guy for the president, and one of those deals. But it fell through. They got moved a couple of dates, and then with the COVID stuff, it fell through. So now we're just working on getting another gig out there. So we'll see.
You'll continue to work, Chuck. Trust me, you will continue to work.
I mean, you hear this guy, you hear the response this man gets in the arena when they put him on camera? Like, Chuck's bigger now than I think he was ever before.
I commend him. You can maintain and stay relevant after your career fighting in the octagon as he's doing. I give Chuck all the kudos in the world. Name of the game.
I mean, let's be honest. I see Chuck doing big things, going to the biggest UFCs, of the year, and Tito's on YouTube, unfortunately.
Yeah, like Tito's on YouTube. Either that, or he's resigning from councilman at Huntington Beach. Don't even get me started on that one. Jesus, unbelievable.
Tito and Chuck. If you want to look that one up, guys, that was an interesting situation.
I always remember, Chuck, it was my 60th birthday when you came down with Heidi. And by the way, please give Heidi my love and say hi. When I had that big birthday party, and I invited both Chuck and Tito, and I told you guys that you're both coming, and for some reason only Chuck showed up.
Funny how that works, huh?
Funny how that works out.
Not surprised. Boss showed up too.
Boss too. It was a great party, no question.
Man, I don't know if I can handle a party with Boss and Chuck. That might get crazy.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun. Hey, Chuck, did you notice how Vegas was crazy crowded this weekend? I mean, more crowded than I've ever seen it.
Oh, it was insane. Yeah, it was really crowded.
And the heat.
I got up at like on Sunday to go down, and I was gonna. I was like, go gamble a little bit. So I came out, but I came out at like 10. It was packed. I was like, I usually like on a Sunday, at least 10's a little light down on the floor.
Right.
But I mean, people everywhere. I'm like, holy, yeah, I'm like, what's going on?
Oh, it was great. You know, I was gambling that night. I was at a blackjack table with my friend and Tarek, you know, TJ Tarek from
Yeah.
Flip for Flop. And so we're there and people were like taking pictures away and all. And I'm just concentrating playing with blackjack. Some guy came over, put his arm around me, put his face next to me, stuck the camera in front of me with video and started talking to me. He was so lucky I didn't elbow him and push him away. That is wrong. That is so wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
I
You know,
mean,
people forget personal space. They forget, you know, I mean, I love fans and I do stuff all the time, but
I do
time
too.
and place, forget time and place sometimes. They fit like,
Yeah.
and there's courtesy. Like, hey, I've had people I've been eating and like have someone grab my arm that my fork's in. I'm like, really? Like,
Really?
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, is that normal for you? Like, where'd you grow up?
Hey, Chuck, one of the worst I had, I was taking a leak in the bathroom
Oh,
and I turned
God.
around and the guy's got his iPhone on me watching me take a leak. I buttoned my pants. I went over. I said, give me your phone. I said, show me your camera. Erase that right now. Right now. You don't do that.
No.
Right?
No. I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
I'm gonna say, I mean, I had a guy get mad at me one time because I wouldn't shake his hand while I was pissing. I looked at him like, can I finish? Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, by the way, you just got finished. Can you go wash your hands? And then I'm here. Like, I don't know. It's a little weird. Like, I'm about not one to shake your hand while I'm peeing. So thanks. Have a nice.
Hey, Chuck, big question. You know, we've enjoyed a few libations and we've been out of time to time. Are you still drinking? Because I'd love to send you a bottle of my Puncher's Chance bourbon that I have released.
I'd love to try it. I actually like whiskey. I don't drink like we used to, but
no, don't drink like you used to.
no, but yeah, I have whiskey. I have a nice whiskey every once in a while. That'd be great.
I'd love to send it. Do me a favor, text me an address and I'll get a bottle sent over to you and Heidi.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, be happy to. Love to get your opinion on, see what you think. But it's we won 3 gold medals for taste and 3 gold medals for design. We're the highest rated, fastest selling new bourbon in America today.
Hey,
very excited.
All right, man. It's good to hear.
I know you like the name. Puncher's Chance is what you're all about.
Always.
So Icebreaker, I'll always and forever. So Icebreaker, NFT, what else is in line for Chuck Liddell? What's going? Oh, and refereeing celebrity fights. What the heck was that like with Odin and that guy?
Yeah, I got a show from a note called No Checks Given. I'm doing on YouTube too. I'm going to be doing more stuff. Just kind of me going out and doing fun stuff. Travel. It's kind of like a travel show. We do a little bit of stuff I like to eat places, and then going out and doing crazy stuff. I did some hunting on it. I've done some a few different things. Follow me around at UFC once. So we haven't put out the episodes yet, but they'll be out soon.
The world is a better place with Chuck Liddell in the spotlight. I'm telling you.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, listen, if there's a fan favorite forever, here he is right here. One of my favorites of all time. And I'm so proud to call you my friend, Chuck. It's great to have you on the show. And it's always great to see you. And it's great to see you and Heidi so happy and everything going so well. How's the kids? What's going on with the kids in COVID? How's the school been for your kids and everything?
They're doing awesome. We're homeschooling them right now. There's too much in and out here, and nothing against the teachers at all, but they really didn't know how to do Zoom school. They like that first, the end of the year for the first time they did Zoom school. The teachers just didn't know what they're doing, and the kids and my kids, my kids are like me and Heidi are both like animated.
Yeah.
Still, and you can't have my kids. I'm like.
Right.
Every time I turn around, when he was on that thing, my son would have a different toy in his hand. I'm like, where'd you get that? Like, how do you have there was no toys next to you. Now you got 20. Like, I didn't see you go anywhere, but where'd they come from?
Right. My buddy's a 5th grade teacher, and he said even the smartest kids in his class were not connecting through Zoom and stuff. It just doesn't register.
It's like, and I used to volunteer at school all the time. So I know my son, he's great at staying doing projects. He's great at doing his thing, but he has to have some interaction. You can't looking at a screen. He's like,
yeah.
My kids. The sad thing about this whole pandemic thing has been my kids have gotten more comfortable sitting in front of a screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like watching TV, playing video games. Because my kids are before this, I thought I won when they
Chuck, you froze.
Well, he's the Iceman after all.
what's your favorite thing to do? They're like, play outside. I'm like, yes. I did
Yes.
something
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But now they're more comfortable like playing video games and
Yep.
playing. They were trying to keep each other entertained for a long, and especially in the beginning. A lot of even people around here we knew didn't want their kids interacting with our kids or other kids, and like,
We're making everybody shut-ins at this point. You know what I mean? It's hard.
Yeah, times have changed, Chuck, and days of, I'm sure when you were a kid like me, baseball until it was time to get home for dinner or go train in martial arts or whatever. It's not the same anymore. It's a different world.
I had a rule growing up. My parents made me go outside every day in the summer, and the rule was that you had to be home by dark, and don't come home before dark either, because kids need to be outside.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen anymore.
No
way. Chuck, anything else you want to tell us before you go? And thanks so much for coming on the show.
Well, no, just be looking for my NFT. Just that you follow my social channels, and it's just at Chuck Liddell anywhere, and you can. I'll keep you posted on when I'll be out and everything. I think it's the 24th for sure, but if they don't delay it, but we'll see.
Well, we'll keep our eye on it. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, Chuck, I'm a big person in collectibles. I'm learning about the NFTs. I personally like to hold my collectibles in my hand and look at them, but these NFTs have opened up a whole new world, and people are spending big money for them. So congratulations on that. Can't wait to see it, and I'll repost it when you post about it and, get it out there for you, any way I can.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll send you a bottle of Puncher's Chance for you and Heidi, and I'm sure I'll see you around the UFC campus, as always.
Right. Can't wait to see you again, man.
All right, you got it, Chuck. Anytime you're down in my area in the Playa del Rey, give me a note. We'll hit lunch.
All right, sounds great, man.
All right, take care, Chuck. Thanks,
Chuck.
Easy.
Big cheers.
There he is, the Hall of Famer.
Chuck Liddell. Wow. So awesome to have him on the show.
I like what he's branching out into as well. I mean, that was the question. There are a lot of guys from his era that not many people, really even think about anymore. And obviously Chuck was up on a pedestal, but for him to still be out there doing things like, again, Bruce, I cannot believe the reaction that he got when they just put him on camera for just a few moments inside T-Mobile. Like the world still loves Chuck Liddell.
He's an icon as a fighter. He's an icon as a image, a brand.
Right.
And let's face it, historically, I mean, the UFC has gotten to where it's gotten because of people like Chuck Liddell. I
mean, we talked about the Tito rivalry. The rivalry with Randy Couture was probably bigger in a lot of ways. Yeah. I mean, the sport does not evolve quite the way that it did without Chuck Liddell.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I can't say enough about him. I've known him for so long.
And he looks good, Bruce. He looks good. He doesn't look like he's fallen off the wagon at all when it comes to being in shape and taking care of his body. He's still, I mean, again, like he just feints with an overhand right, and I'm like, okay, I got to move.
I'm terrified. I mean, when he moved his arms like that, I'm thinking, I don't want to be on the receiving end of any of that stuff.
Right. I mean, God forbid he does one of those celebrity boxing matches and someone accidentally tags him, because the comeback will not be kind to them.
Hey, when we talk about that China White Brawl, whenever I'm on his show and we break it down, I'm not going to give anything away except something I've said before in the show. There's nothing like watching Chuck Liddell in the octagon. There's nothing like watching Chuck Liddell in a street fight.
No.
Hoa, hoa. That's all I want to say. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Great to have the champ, the Iceman, on the show. And let's go into some stories that are going on here. I hate to say this, TJ, but it's out now and we're worried about it. I don't know what's going to get worse, but the darn COVID-19 cases are surging now again in 45 states.
That Delta variant is kind of wreaking some havoc. The idea of being vaccinated is still, good as far as protection is concerned. But I think we're going to see a lot of people go back to mandatory mask mandates and things like that. We'll see. Hopefully it won't get that bad. It still kind of blows me away, Bruce, that people are anti-vaccine here. And even people that are not anti-vaccines as a whole, some of them have this, misconception about how rushed, quote unquote, this vaccine was. I mean, I don't know what to tell those people, but I do know that the Delta variant is supposed to be much worse. More people are going to die than they did before they thought as far as the amount infected to deaths ratio. I mean, I don't know. I hope we can, keep moving forward and progress. But, these numbers are a bit alarming.
Well, they're alarming, but a lot of it's amongst the non-vaxxed
Right.
community. But now they're bringing out how the kids are getting it, the
Right.
variants hitting. I mean, it just, again, people say, well, that's news. That's new. You know what? Facts are facts. It's out there. And I think you still need to be safe. And quite frankly, I just got back from Vegas and I went to Rogan set me up with beautiful seats to his show with Chappelle on Friday night. My
How was
friend
it?
and I went to. It was great. It was
Yeah.
great.
It looked good. I saw some photos and whatnot. It looked like it was a good time.
It was amazing. But walking out, you're in crowds, and my friend and I were masked. And then, the UFC, it just, there's COVID somewhere. I mean, call me paranoid, call me whatever.
No, but I mean, that's the truth.
It's
There's
truth.
COVID somewhere. They're like the numbers, it's not high, but there's no way you can be around that many people without someone carrying it.
And how do you think I feel coming back? I'm wary right now.
Right, of course. Well, especially when you're just playing blackjack and some dude basically comes from behind and puts their body on you. Like, that's not, I mean, it's never a good idea to do that, but these are not the times to be doing that.
Yeah, well, I just tested myself again today because I got to go to the show on Saturday. I'll be tested again on Friday. And you know what? I'm not paranoid. I'm just being real.
No, I mean, you have taken this approach long before people were worried about it here in the States. Remember, I mean, a year and a half ago, I was telling you, Bruce, don't worry about it. These things never really get out of hand. Don't worry about it. You're buying into the hype. And then I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah, I was wrong.
Well, just stay safe, everybody. That's all I can say. I mean, everybody has their opinion. You have a right to get or not get a vaccine, but the facts and the proof out there is that you should. That's all I can say.
I mean, there's no better way to say it. It's true.
So how do you like my new shirt?
I saw that. I was wondering if that was a millions.co shirt.
It's a millions.co shirt. They came out with the It's Time shirt. I got the hashtag Buff Life kind of took off a little bit.
Right.
It's Time, established 1996, which is the first time I ever walked in the octagon.
Yep.
I just got these yesterday. I love them. So anybody's interested in It's Time shirts or the Buff Life hashtag Buff Life shirt I have on, just go to millions.co to my site. To my page. And I'm very excited to say that it has really taken off. I say every week, it's getting stronger and stronger. When the NCAA announced that athletes could do their stuff, and pardon me if I said this last week.
No, you did, but it's so huge. It's worth reiterating.
100 NCAA athletes signed up in one day last week.
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't they? Like, think about this. You as a athlete, a celebrity, anybody that has a following, the ability to market yourself in a way where you get was it 80% that you're giving them?
80% goes back to the
athlete. Think about that, Bruce. 80%, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to handle anything. Like, that's unbelievable.
We do all the work. We design with you. Everything's there. It doesn't cost you a dime. The athletes are loving it. We're now branching out into the other sports as a result of NCAA athletes coming in. It's just growing exponentially very large.
I've got some podcast clients that might need to get on that.
Yeah, no problem. Just check it out. I'll set you up. But even a guy like Chuck Liddell,
right?
It's great for Chuck Liddell.
You
know? It's good for everything. I think Dean Thomas is coming in, and there's a whole bunch of UFC fighters coming in too. So.
And why wouldn't you? The ability to control your image and make money off of that, and literally do nothing but essentially come up with some concepts. Like, that's huge.
No brainer. Plus the ability to have the Fight Companion style, shows you can watch with your
fans the access for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I pitch it all the time. Just check out millions.co. I'm very excited to be a co-founder in this site, and we're going to knock down doors that have never been knocked down before. And that's the way I like to do business. So it's all good. Did you hear about Richard Sherman?
No. What happened?
Arrested?
No.
Yeah.
Where?
He was taken down by a canine in a fight with cops before his arrest.
He hurt?
Investigating him now for a possible hit and run and DUI after cops said he crashed his car an hour or so before his arrest. But there's other things that were here, domestic burglary and domestic violence charge, which is a felony in Washington State. It could actually carry a really lengthy prison sentence. Excuse me.
Wow.
So this 5-time Pro Bowler, played for the 49ers and all. I mean, not a good syndrome. He's been at the shows too. I mean, he seemed like a cool guy. Not saying he's not, but he's got some stuff on his hands right now with this one.
That's no good.
No good. UFC 264 set a record, but it didn't top 229 for pay-per-view buys. I think it's 1.8 million plus.
Right.
That came into the show. And
breaking that all-time record is going to be really, really difficult.
It's going to be really, really hard. Tokyo Olympics has banned spectators after Japan clears a COVID state of emergency, but there'll be no fans allowed to watch the Olympians perform, but the Olympics will go on. I wish them all the best.
That might actually heighten the viewing experience for people at home. When we, I mean, we're still doing shows at the Apex, but when you take that crowd out of it and you hear everything, obviously you want the athletes to be propelled by the adoration of the fans, and it's always something that drives them. But sit back and relax and maybe take this in through a different sort of lens, and I think it'll still play well on television.
I think it will too. And one last note before we go, I always talk about that 1980 panel card, the Topps card of the Johnson rookie with Larry Bird, which you said you have part of. Is that correct?
No, my wife had it and she tore it apart because she was a child when she got it. I mean, she still has it. It's just in pieces because, kids.
Well, you remember I had the box. I paid $450 for.
Right.
Sold for $1,100 6 years ago. Sold for $50,000 last February.
What's it at now, Buffer?
Well, you can figure it out. I would say the box is worth probably $100,000 plus now, and I'll tell you why. That panel card in a PSA 10 just sold.
How much?
$513,000.
Get out of here.
$513,000.
Can't wait to tell my wife that she tore up $500,000.
There's 4 of those cards in each box. Brand
Unbelievable.
New. Who knows what would have been in that box?
Unbelievable. Did you hear about the video game, the Mario 64 cartridge for the Nintendo 64?
I heard it sold like crazy.
Yeah, it's like $1.4 million.
Unbelievable.
There's only like 10 in existence, I guess, that are still factory sealed and in pristine condition, but $1.4 million.
Those old N64 machines are worth a lot of money.
If they're sealed, they're not worth a lot of money if they're
it's the old story. Never take it out of the box, or at least save the box,
Right, yeah, I don't know. And that's something too, we talk about this with baseball cards and things of that nature all the time. I don't think that the modern systems are going to retain that sort of value.
No,
maybe you can buy a PlayStation 5 and just hold on to it and it'll be worth a bunch of money down the road, but I don't think so. I really don't.
I've got cases of Ready to Rumble boxing video games in my garage. The old Dreamcast games.
I wonder what those are worth. They got to be worth something.
Everything's worth something to the right person.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
It all is. It's crazy. All right, TJ, what's up? And we'll be back next week, right? And guest.
I was on the ground, did not get to see you. Met our pal Garrett, who does a lot of our multimedia stuff here on It's Time. So that was great. Had a blast at the Howler Head viewing party. They were doing It's Time with you inside the MGM Grand, like you were right in front of them, even though they were watching a television screen, which was a really neat experience. Met a few listeners of this show, came up and said hello to me. So that was pretty cool. I think we'll be doing that again a couple times before the end of the year as well. So go check out Extra Rounds anytime on UFC Fight Pass. You can also get the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. And that's about it. Follow me on Twitter at TJ DeSantis.
Very cool. Speaking of Garrett, I'm going to be filming a commercial for with him next week. I just can't give away what it is, but it's going to be one of those hilarious type commercials.
That's awesome. I mean, the stuff that you've done already is awesome, phenomenal. Which reminds me to tell everyone, check out the show on YouTube if you're not already. There's some other stuff on your channel that's not just It's Time Radio. A bunch of stuff over there.
Yeah, everybody, please. Thank you, TJ. Sign up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our show today and going on forward is, of course, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. I encourage everybody to check out FanDuel Sportsbook when you're betting on the UFC and all the other things that you do. It's a great site. It's an awesome site and great people to work with, as we talked about last week. I'll be back in the Octagon this Saturday for the fight. I'm looking forward to announcing the return of the great Miesha Tate. It's going to be awesome to see her fight. She's got a very tough fight ahead of her. So I'll see you all from the Octagon then. TJ, you have a great week. With that being said, everybody, set your goals, learn about them, write them down so you can be the best you can be when you step on that path moving forward. If you are the best you can be, then you're winning, and that's what we're all about on It's Time Radio. So with that being said, I love you all. Thank you for all your support. And what a great night 264 was. I posted yesterday, TJ, on a side note, it reminded me how much I love and my passionate adventure in the Octagon. It brought back all the reasons that I do everything I do to be in there with these great warriors, allowing me to share their space and all the support from your amazing fans. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great week. Love you all. Buffer out.